Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. Let's thank our members over Laning 11B and COTS for being the full crew members, all the Foxbet members and all the Fishbet members. Thank you, it helps a lot. Make sure to be a member if you want to help the channel. You have no idea how much it helps. Makes it so that I am able to do this permanently. Jesus. So yeah, but subscribe, join our Discord, and let's get into it. So we're going to have a video that it is the end of a series, awaited, kind of not, but still, series of videos that I did. The start of these videos I did before I even got to 1,000 subscribers, and I was kind of waiting until Israel received more aircraft, but still. It is basically the Diving Down or Rising Above, I think it was the name, series that I just basically give tips and stuff like that on how to progress through the ranks and the BRs of the Israeli tech tree. Each new nation, I will be doing a series of videos with that. Okay, so if any other nation is at it, I'm going to be doing that. The other nations I won't be doing because they're too long, and to be honest, I don't think it will be too acclaimed. Maybe in the top tiers I can do that in the future, but still. So we did back in the January we did with the rank 4, then the rank 5, rank 6. So make sure to check it out if you want to see that. And here it's the last part. I mean, I don't know how many months later, 10 months later almost, we ended up with the rank 7, and we're going to talk about its 5 aircraft that we see here. And yeah, basically what are the best aircraft and stuff like that. If you remember, probably not, but if you are going to see my video on the rank 6, just to recap a little bit, of course I talk about the A4s being very good, the Mystère being a very difficult aircraft, the Sambat is a very, very good aircraft. I had an amazing time with it. To be honest, right now I would not advise you guys to go with it because of the BR, especially with the SAR, but I have to make a video on that again as well, because now it has the better Shafrir 2s that were buffed, so it might be alright to use at this BR depending on what you are facing. If you are facing a lot of Su-25s and stuff like that with R60Ms, it will be a pain. So yeah, but let's continue. So after this SAR, normally you would get to the Mirage 3s or the Kafir. Behind the A4 we get to the F4E, and then the Nesher behind the Vulture or under the Vulture. The thing is, as I said, this SAR in this line is kind of a difficult one, so I would advise you guys going with the A4s, and due to that, I think first we ended up getting the F4E, which is an aircraft that a lot of people hate most of the time right now. But to be honest, it's an alright aircraft. It's not something crazy, but it's not bad either. It's an aircraft that has its problems. It has a very bad radar, to be honest, right now. The missiles have basically no range whatsoever in the AIM-7E2, in the sense of having maneuverability enough to actually get people effectively beyond 20 kilometers. So even though it is a BVR missile, it is not a missile that you are going to normally get a lot of long range kills. I normally use it for short range kills, as most people, because I always try to get those BVR kills just for my rush of dopamine, but still it is normally more useful at closer ranges. The radar is the APQ-120, which is the same radar as in the F4E, the normal one, because it is basically the same aircraft. It has the Agile Eagle package as well, which always helps in turning and stuff like that, which are the sleds, And as I said, the radar is problematic because it is not pulse Doppler. It doesn't have any type of ground clutter filtering. So basically, it is problematic at low altitudes. Due to that, I understand that, I mean, with the tilting radar stuff, you can do two tactics with it. You can climb and get people in the BVR, try to get people in the BVR. Not the most useful tactic ever, to be honest, because it is kind of a problematic thing when you have this radar. It is susceptible to chaff, this radar. And even though if you can continue to lock the chaff after the chaff is fired, you know, and the missile will try to go to the target in a certain area of engagement in the air, because of the radio waves bouncing back from the aircraft that you want to shoot down. It's still not that capable, you know. So the tactic that I normally would use is just to fly low and tilt the radar upwards and try to get people by surprise in some type of way, you know. Especially because obviously we have the Vulcan, which is always a very good cannon, but we have a difference between the F4E that we have in the US, which is the AIM-9G. So instead of the AIM-9J or AIM-9E, we have the D and the G, so which are the Navy ones. So it is a missile that has problems with turning and stuff like that compared to other missiles, but still it's a missile that burns for a very long time and it has a very very long range compared to all other IR missiles, which means you can get a lot of unsuspected targets from far away, you know. That's why it's one of the best ideas to actually get low and just tilt the radar upwards and try to get people like that, you know. I know a lot of people will like to actually just try to get the Kafir first, but to be honest, just get the F4. It's a well-known aircraft. Everybody kind of knows how to fly it, because normally the Israeli Tech 3 won't be your first, because you kind of need the other Tech 3s to actually get to the Israeli ones. So normally people will already know what an F4 is. So I would just use it as a base for more and better grind, you know. So that would make a little bit more sense than going for the other aircraft. Second aircraft that I would go for it is probably the Mirage 3C after the CJ, you know, after the F4. I mean, it's a problematic aircraft. I think it's a very, 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 very good aircraft at 10.0, but right now, with the amount of R60Ms and AIM-9Ls that the A10 and the Su-25 brought to the table, it did ended up having less effectiveness, you know. It's an aircraft that, even though it is very good, think about it, it's an aircraft that is a 10.3 aircraft basically at 10.0. The main difference between the normal C is that it doesn't have magics, obviously, but it does have its own missiles. It has the AIM-9D, obviously, and the Shifter 2, which right now it's better than the AIM-9D, so I would advise you guys to use the Shifter 2 instead of the AIM-9D. And then the Super 530 as well, which in 10.3 or in 10.0, it can be very, very effective, you know. It still has its same problems as we normally see in Mirage 3s, you know, so it is kind of underpowered sometimes. The engine is strong, but it loses a lot of energy, and it is a lot weaker than the Mirage 2000, for example, and the Kafir. So you will need to be careful with those high G maneuvers, you know. You will lose a lot of energy with that, but still, we see a lot of cool camouflages with the aircraft, you know. But still, it's an aircraft that it is very, very good. I had, like, once I spaded it, I had like a 3.0 KD very easily, or even it, but it is the effectiveness of the aircraft was lowered a little bit, just a bit, you know. And obviously after that I would advise you guys to get the Kafir C7, an aircraft that everybody loves, you know, and a lot of people feel like it needs an improvement, but still, that I'm going to talk about it, that it's missiles, you know. But it is basically what every Mirage 3 always wanted to be. A very fast aircraft with a very, very powerful engine. It has the General Electric J79, a very special version of the JA, the J79. So it's a very, very good aircraft. Light, it's so light, and it has an amazing thrust weight. Together with the canards and together with flares and stuff like that, it is just an improvement over the Mirage 3C, you know, the CJ. But you have to consider that it still has some problems that the Mirage 3 has. One of them being the cannons. Obviously, the DEFA is known for being kind of a slow muzzle cannon, you know, so you have to consider that when you are going to fly the Kafir. It's not a super weapon, this aircraft has a very good reputation, but it's not an aircraft that I normally enjoy flying it because it is very limited. You know, it's like I always say about the J7E, the F5, and stuff like that. It's a very similar aircraft to that. You know, it doesn't have BVR, doesn't have a proper radar, it doesn't have anything. Just has its sheer performance. And to be honest, this one, out of all these aircraft that I told you about, it has the worst missiles. So, and you are still an 11.3 aircraft. So, yeah, right now it's an aircraft that, even though it has a very good performance and it is a very, very good aircraft, you have to consider that the missiles are lacking. Okay, it's an aircraft that I think soon, very, very soon, it will receive a Python 3 or something like that, because even though the statistics and I think the normal way that normally people fly this aircraft, it is very effective, especially as a bomber. It's a very, very fast and good bomber if you want to use it as one. I think as a fighter it lacks a little bit, and the Python 3s will help a lot. Uh, Remember, the Python 3s are missiles that are supposedly to be better than the AIM-9L, more comparable to a missile like an AIM-9M or a Magic 2. So yeah, it's a very, very good missile. So I hopefully we see that missile soon. It would make the Kafir C7 a lot more unique, you know, having its own missile. I think the F4E should get the missile as well in the future, maybe. But I don't know. Then it's something out of, I don't know, you know. But the Kafir C7, I think it's one that needs the actual thing, the line of thinking that I do when these missiles are on the talking points of people. I normally think that the BR compression will force every single aircraft that we have in the 11.0 and 11.3 bracket to have all aspect missiles. Why? Because, I mean, do you really think that they will add a MiG-29 at 12.0, for example? Probably not, right? Because of QE times and stuff like that. So the logical line of thinking is that probably a MiG-29, for example, or the next generation of aircraft that comes, the F-15, stuff like that, will come at 11.3 or on the max 11.7, which means that they will be facing these aircraft a lot, and which means that the statistics and the flight performance of these aircraft, like I said, most of the 11.0s and 11.3s will be lowered. They will be better. You know, they will be worse because they are facing a lot higher competitive aircraft. You know, better competitive aircraft. And with that, they will have to add all aspect missiles. So I think it's just a matter of time. It's logical because of the BR compression, the way that everything works. It just makes you think that it's logical that an aircraft like this will receive the Python 3 soon. You know, we just need more competitive aircraft. And obviously, even Israel will receive probably an F-16 or something like that in the future. So it's not something that it's completely out of the window, you know. And then the last aircraft that we can talk about that it's in the line, you know, we have the Nasher, which is basically a Mirage 5F, which is the kind of the bomber version of the Mirage 3, you know. Remember, this is based on the Mirage 5F. The project, everything was based on the Mirage 5F. So it is very, very, very similar to it. It has basically the same engine, basically the same everything. The main difference between the in-game Mirage 5F and the Nasher is that we don't have magics, obviously. So we have the AIM-9G, okay? A very good missile, alright missile for 10.3. I think it's an aircraft that, it's not an aircraft that, only if you really like this aircraft you can actually make an effort to actually get it before everything else. Because there's not much into it. I think it's like the Milan, you know, but with better missiles and a higher BR. So it's not something out of the ordinary, to be honest. It's an aircraft that it's good for ground pounding. You know, it has the Elta rangefinder, you know, instead of the radar. So just like the Kafir has its own Elta rangefinder there, a radar rangefinder. But they don't have radars or anything like that. They don't have R530s. They don't have anything like that. So yeah, the Nasher, it's a very cool aircraft. Back in the day, I used to love this aircraft because it was so light. But in this BR right now, it's kind of suffering a little bit. But it is not a very I mean, it's a very, very good aircraft, but you have to be smart about it. It is a difficult aircraft to use sometimes. Okay, so I would not touch it too much, you know. And last but not least, obviously, we have the Kafir C2, which is the event Kafir C2. It's basically the same aircraft, it has a different engine, less performance a little bit. The missiles are a little bit limited, as you see here, only can carry 2 AIM-9Gs. So I have some videos about it if you want to check it out specifically, you know. Very beautiful aircraft, it has some interesting camos as well. But it's just a normal event vehicle, so normally you won't be using this too much, only if you have it already or if you want to buy it from the market. So, which is kind of expensive, I think. So, yeah, I sold mine and now I don't have it, as you see here. But still, it is a very interesting tech tree. I cannot wait until we get more stuff, and when we get more stuff, I will be doing a video on it. I think after the F4E, we can surely see the NF-15A coming. Maybe not soon, but in the future. And behind or under the Kafir C7, I can see an aircraft like the F-16A coming, or the other versions of the F-16, because Israel used a lot of them. Behind the Nesher or under the Nesher, I don't know then, maybe other F-16s or something like that. But I don't know, probably not too much. I still think that the Kafir is kind of in a weird spot here, because even though it was initially conceived as a fighter, I think it would make more sense to be under the Nesher because of, I mean, most of its life it was used as a bomber or an attacker, so it would just make sense. It's kind of the evolution of an Escher, you know? So it would make sense to just have the Kafir over here, and then the F-16 over here, and then the F-15A over here, and then more stuff in the future. So basically this is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know in the comments what is your favorite tier 7 aircraft, and if you agree with me that going first with the F4E is better and more suitable in the game right now. Maybe in the future when we get the Python 3 on the Kafir, maybe the Kafir will be the best option, but you will still have to pass through the Sa'ar, which is especially a problem, and the Mirage 3 CJ. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I see you guys on the next one. So bye guys.